up and sit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the July 17th edition of the Hughes Sports Podcast. I am your host, of course, Jake Hughes, and alongside me, the old man. Old man, how the hell are you doing today?
I am doing just awesome. Actually, I'm doing really well.
You're doing
Extremely
really
well.
I mean, the Lions were on a bye this past week, so there wasn't a need to watch football, and yet we still watched most of the games combined.
Well, I did. I watched them. I didn't get to watch the double headers, of course, as I mentioned, because I was away doing other stuff, but covering other sports. Just so you know, it was about sports. But yeah, no, it was a exciting week in football.
Crazy week in football. It was one of those weeks where anything could have happened.
Yeah, three out of the 4 games were good.
Which is unheard. Like, I mean, this year, it's pretty good because we've had some really
yawners,
boring weeks.
We've had some yawners.
So.
Yes.
Before we jump into it, I want to shout out everyone. If you're listening, please do comment. Let us know where you're listening from. Let us know your thoughts on the CFL, and let us know who do you think should be first in the CFL, the Hughes Sports Power Rankings.
Which I had a say in this week, by the way.
This week was tough for me because there were so many moving pieces because so much happened this week. It was hard for me to just sit down and objectively put them in order. I had like 2 teams where I knew where they needed to be, and everyone else I would have accepted arguments for any place. I had 3 teams where I knew where they needed to be, and everyone else could be placed where they needed to.
And contrary to the Smurf Mafia's belief system, we aren't just putting out the power rankings because we love to bug the Smurf Mafia. It's actually it's one of those things that's fun to do. It's
it's really a thought exercise because you're trying to take out your bias. Like, again, I'm a Lions fan. I want to put the Lions up at the top every single week.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, this year, luckily, we've been able to. The last couple of years, really, they should have been up near the top of the league. But
last year they were good.
Yeah, but before that, I would have had a hard time putting them in the top 5.
Yeah, okay, I can't argue. I was going to argue that, but I can't.
No, I mean, you could argue it, but you'd be wrong.
I'd be wrong, just like every other time.
But before we jump into the more CFL talk, let's talk about this big story out of the International Ice Hockey Federation, specifically Hockey Canada, because according to Sportsnet, and I'm reading the article right here, Nike has permanently ended its sponsorship of Hockey Canada. So as we know, back in, I believe it was October, October of last year, they announced that they were pausing their sponsorship because of all of the reporting that had come out about the shenaniganery that was Hockey Canada. And now Hockey Canada has completely restructured itself. Kudos to them. They have a whole new executive board.
Well, I was going to say, they didn't just restructure. They cleaned house.
Yeah.
That's why that's why this is surprising to me. I could see this happening if they tried to sweep it under the carpet and ignore it. I have had dealings with my other hat on with Hockey Canada, and their new president literally wants everybody in the organization to acknowledge the past and move forward, knowing that they need to improve a whole bunch.
Yeah. Which is wild to me because, again, everything got paused, completely cleaned house.
Yeah.
They lost funding from if you're an American, you're watching, they lost funding from the government, from every single sponsor because of everything that came out about hiding sexual assault scandals.
Yeah, I'm basically hiding it. They were paying people off to keep them quiet.
Yes. So I want to read the statement that the Nike spokesperson said in an email to Sportsnet. Nike is no longer a sponsor of Hockey Canada. We will continue to provide on-ice product for Hockey Canada athletes as part of our partnership with the International Ice Hockey Federation, but our individual partnership with the federation has ended. So,
No reason
and this is
given.
no reason given. This was one of the longest partnerships in Hockey Canada history, starting in 1999. Right? So, I mean, 21 years, because if it, I mean, they paused it in 2022. So you get 21 years of partnership ended. And this
Yeah.
is actually on the heels of Bauer Hockey. The termination of sponsorship comes 1 month after another sports equipment manufacturer, Bauer Hockey, returned to sponsor Hockey Canada after Catherine Henderson was named its new CEO and president. So it could have been one of those they didn't want Nike back, and
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is it? Are we reading to are we you and I reading too much into this? Or I mean, it's funny to me that our individual partnership with the federation has ended, meaning we're not giving them any money, but they're still going to wear our clothes.
Well, yeah, because they're partnerships with the IIHF.
Right.
So
So Nike supplies
IIHF. So they supply
all the
Canada,
teams.
US,
I see. Okay. Yeah.
all the teams with their jerseys. So is it just a thing of Bauer came in and said, "Hey, you want to have a new beginning, and this is how you do it," or is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
is there? And again, it might be the fact that we're a sports podcast and I'm reading way too much into it because it's good conversation. Is there more behind the
I
scenes?
honestly think it could be the latter of the two. That Bauer came in and said, "You know what?
You need a new start.
We
You
need a
got
new start. Yeah, we can't supply you with your equipment, but we can be your sponsor." What the
And
hell
Bauer
are you? What the heck are you drinking there, boy?
water
Out of
out of an
what?
old milk jug.
Why?
Because I got these milk jugs for free.
Are they like? Is there something growing in the bottom of that milk jug?
No, it's just foggy because it's water. It's like just condensation on the outside because it's so bloody humid out today.
Lift the bottle up, all the way up. Turn it so we can see the bottom. Don't
So
spill
the
it.
water's gonna come out.
Okay, okay. I thought there was brown shit on the bottom of that, and I was like, "What are you drinking?"
No, you're just
Okay.
seeing things.
See, folks, if you're not watching, you're missing half the show.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Because this was something that right before the show went live, you saw the rundown and was like, "Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about this."
Yeah,
So
no.
raw,
Again,
unfiltered thoughts.
my first thought, of course, was they pulled their money because of all the crap that went down. But
And
now
originally they did.
hearing, well, originally they did, but you know what? I'm going to give Hockey Canada the benefit of the doubt and say that it's probably like Bauer coming to him and saying, "You know what? It's time for a clean slate. Let us come in. I know you still have to wear Nike gear, but let us do your sponsoring."
Yeah, and I mean Bauer was also already a sponsor beforehand.
They could just up that.
They just up that, right? Become that next tier of sponsors.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens if there is any fallout of this, or if this is just off season. No other hockey to talk about and discuss, so we're talking about this.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're doing, right? Because there's absolutely nothing else in hockey to talk about. There hasn't been any trades. There hasn't been sweet piddly all. And Jake refuses to write an article about what should happen.
I did write an article today. It was posted on HughesSports.ca, which I was going to talk about.
Wow. Are you going through puberty or what?
Nah,
Your voice went about 6 octaves higher there, dude.
You know, it's been a long 2 weeks. I've been very active and too much, and it's just been too much. But yeah, Hughes. Oh, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
I was just saying, gonna plug HughesSports.ca because that is where you'll see all of our beautiful articles that we post. The old man this weekend did a breakdown of every single game, covering it all and giving everyone a nice little write-up in case you missed any of the games. What was your favorite game of the week before we jump into it?
Because I missed those two. I caught the tail end of this Calgary Saskatchewan game on the radio when I was driving back from Okotoks.
Yeah.
It has to be the Calgary Saskatchewan game. Even though I didn't get to see it, I came home and watched all the highlights, of course, and then looked at it play by play. And which was really hard, by the way, on CFL.ca because they don't make sense. But anyways, it was good.
You should go to watch highlights. You need to go to TSN, as stupid as it is.
That's what I went to TSN, and then I went to the Scorer app and got a good idea of what happened in the game. I mean, was that the game with 2 runbacks? Yeah, 2 punt returns for touchdowns. No, that was the Ottawa game.
You've lost me, so.
I believe it was the Ottawa game that had 2 punt returns for touchdowns. I mean, this weekend had everything that you could want in games.
And as we said, this whole weekend you had games that were super close, super tight, and every game seemed, even the Edmonton game, either team could have come out on top. Even the Edmonton game. Look at the score.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, they lost in typical Edmonton fashion, but they could have. It was close enough that if they didn't make mistake after mistake after mistake, they could have won.
Yes, true enough.
But I posted an article today talking about the Vancouver Canucks and their cap space woes because it's complicated. Because technically the Canucks right now are $4.267 million over the cap.
What happens if they stay over the cap?
Fines and punishments, and we don't want to know. Because it's Gary's Bettman.
Is there like public lashings by Bettman?
I think that's very on point for what Bettman wants. Some public lashings, like a couple media rounds where everyone just gets to throw pies or eggs at your face. But
how about hangings? We have hangings.
No, that's a little too extreme. We're not trying to kill anyone.
Really?
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe it's Bettman's world. We're just living in it. I don't know what the commissioner wants to do. But basically the entire point of the article is the Canucks need to get down to $83.5 million, I think is what the cap space is this year. Around that, they need to get down to that for opening day. After opening day, when they need to have the roster set, if they have long-term injured reserve candidates, they can go onto long-term injured reserve, and then we can spend over that amount until they. Yeah. So if you hit the cap exactly, and the only time it's only happened once in the existence of the salary cap and the LTIR compliance in NHL history.
LTIR.
Long-term injured reserve. More than 10 games.
Okay.
It's only happened once where a team on opening night had the exact amounts that the cap is. So $0.00.
Oh, really?
Happened last year, and it was the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, really?
What that means is that when you put someone on LTIR, for the entire amount of time that player is on the long-term injured reserve, you can spend their cap over the cap, the salary cap. So if you had a player that was making $1 million and they went on long-term injured reserve, you could then spend $1 million over the cap until that player comes back. Now, there's cases where, you can pretend to fall asleep all you want, old man. People love this shit. There are cases like a couple years ago, and people got upset because Tampa Bay used it to their full advantage because I believe it was Kucherov, I believe, was on LTIR for the entire season, and then magically was better for the game 1 of the playoffs because there's no salary cap in the playoffs. So they're able to use his full salary cap to get all the benefits of adding an extra player or 2, and then on playoff opening day, they were able to have those players on their roster and exceed the salary cap, I believe, by about $8 million, which is a huge advantage because you have $8 million of extra cap space. Does anything I say make sense to you? Or did you zone out about 5 minutes in?
I zoned out after I LITRQRP2XYZ.
Well,
I'm sure people are really interested in it. It's just not something that doesn't
but you need
interest me whatsoever.
with a team like the Canucks this year, you need to understand it because the team is going to screw itself and already has.
I could bet. I'm gonna interrupt because I can bet if we took a poll of 100 Canuck fans,
Yep.
random fans,
Yep.
not your internet nerds, random fans at a game,
Yep.
and ask them to explain what you just explained.
What LTIR is?
Yeah, how it affects their salary cap. Blah blah blah. I bet you
89%.
less than 50.
89%
less than 50
of Canucks fans. No, you're
less
wrong.
than 50%.
You're wrong.
Less than 50%.
If you went to Calgary, I'd say 100% you're correct. And I say this in the nicest way. Calgary fans they're casual fans in comparison. Yeah, exactly. They're casual fans. They need to leave 5 minutes early so they can beat the traffic. We don't need to rehash this.
Don't get them going again, folks. Don't get them going again.
But you have Canucks fans, and you can listen to the radio. And the reason is, and I pointed it out, the podcast that we listened to coming back when we came back down from Edmonton, you said it was boring, right?
Oh,
that's
when I fell asleep to.
Well, I mean, you were driving, so I hope you didn't fall asleep to it.
I literally fell asleep listening to that crap.
So, but that's a normal show on Canucks radio. Because it's talking about the details that you don't care about because you're a more casual fan. But I got
a flag. I have a flag.
Other than Pettersson, Hughes, and Demko, name 3 Canucks.
Myers.
Oh.
Bear.
Nope.
Bears.
Nope.
What's his name?
Well, yeah. He's not a Canuck right now.
Well, he's still a Canuck.
No, he is not. We did not qualify him. He's a free agent.
But he's
not a Canuck. He's not signed to a contract for the Vancouver Canucks.
None of them are because the season hasn't started.
That's not true. A lot of them are. Reason we can't trade Myers right now is because of his contract.
Oh my goodness. My
head hurts. See? So
Pettersson.
I said without PD.
The other one.
What do you mean the other one?
The other Elias. There's 2.
Okay.
There's 2.
I will give you. I'll give you that. I'll give you that loophole to give you 2. What's your third name?
What's our goalie's name?
You can't. I already said you can't say Demko.
Oh. How about that other guy?
Yeah, that one guy.
I can't think like this off the top of my head.
Well,
I've been watching hockey longer than you have.
That's fair. You know what? I will give you that. You're also 30 years older than me.
See, even the dogs are mad at you.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so let's jump into the CFL talk because this NHL talk, we're just going to spin our wheels on for the next however many minutes till you guys all get bored and turn off. First game of the week, we had
boring talk.
The Hamilton Tiger Cats going into Edmonton to face the Elks. The Tiger Cats, I don't think that score is right. Give me 1 second. Let me double check this before I click the next button because I was the one to put these scores in and I think I double typed a button.
Oh, did you?
I think so. Yep. The final score was 37-29.
Yes, that's correct.
What's next for the Elks?
You know, it was funny because I did write an article on this and I talked about it. The owner has pretty much come out and thrown his arms in the air and says, I don't know what else we can do. We cannot get rid of the coach /GM / whatever else he does. He has 3 jobs. He has literally said it. We can't get rid of him because of the what's it called?
The salary cap for coaches, or for staff.
Yes, that's the
I
one.
can't. I don't know what the exact name is, but
yeah. So it's the administration cap or whatever they want to call it. So they're pretty much stuck with Jones. He did say, and I'm reading between the lines here, but he did say something to the effect of we need to put our egos to the side
well,
and do what's best for the team and for the fans. But now again, we're Monday. The Elks played on Thursday.
Yep.
And we haven't heard a thing.
Yeah.
So the streak has lasted now. That's that was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 more days. So we're at 1,375 days. They've gone through 3 head coaches, 2 general managers, and 2 team presidents.
How? So, and I mean, we as Canucks fans, we understand the struggle. We do. I know the frustration, but how? Okay, that's cool. You can't fire Chris Jones. Can you fire anyone, or are your hands that tied?
Well, and I think that's where the comment, we need to put our egos to the side.
So I found the comment here. It's at 3 Down Nation.
That's the other guy. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt. Spencer Martin.
Yes, very good. Did someone comment that in?
Yeah.
Ah, look at that. Look at that. Thanks, mother. So Elks president Victor Kui has delivered a message to Chris Jones and G. Roy Simon. And in quotes, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's put our egos aside and really understand, what does it take to win? What are we going to do?
Let's put the salary cap to the side, because you got to remember, they're still paying their last coach, who I can't remember his name. They're still paying him.
Wasn't that Jason Moss, who's now successful in Montreal? Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Well, Carol has all kinds of stuff to say. Hi, Carol. I'm not really sure what that was about, but she has a cross in her picture, so she must be religious, and must be some kind of religious symbols. Anyway,
that's why we don't understand them.
That's right. What was I saying?
The two presidents, 2 coaches.
So they're literally having to pay whoever the coach was, and if they get rid of Jones, they have to pay him too, and that is included in their cap. So then they wouldn't be able to hire a coach.
Why is there a cap on for your spending from the league on your staff? That is absurd. That needs to be examined.
That's where the problem is, and that's where they need to look at it. That's not going to happen this year. So they have to deal with reality, and the reality is.
But okay, so
Jones is staying put.
I think it's dumb. But you can't. What else can you do? You can fire your offensive coordinator. You can fire. You can fire everyone except for your head coach.
Again, you're paying those people still. Those are guaranteed contracts. So you could say, fire everybody, fire the coach, fire the GM, fire the fans. Didn't I say that once before? Yep. And guess what? That salary cap, you're at the top of your salary cap. You have to.
So it's complete mismanagement by Victor Coy that's putting themselves in this situation, or whoever the president was before him, because I don't know if he was
Victor Chu, not Choi.
Chu. It's CUI, so
I'm pretty sure it's Chu. It's I don't even know. I honestly, I'm at a loss. I would hate to be an Elks fan, because you have nothing. There's no way you can even look. Like, we go back, and I keep going back to 2011 when BC went 0-5. At least we could look and say, well, we've got a good team. And I believe our line was, this is the best 0-5 team I've ever seen on the field.
That was the year before that. I believe the Lions went like 6-7-0, 8-0 or something like that.
And we were saying it was the worst undefeated team.
The worst undefeated team we'd ever seen, because they won by kicking the ball through the end zone at the last second, or
who does that?
Or a chip shot field goal that from the other team they would just whiff it. But the Ticats don't even have that. Or not the Ticats, sorry. The Elks don't even have that.
No, they have nothing. They literally have, they can't pick a quarterback. Their receivers are dropping balls, like making their quarterback look horrible. There's literally no chemistry on this team. It's like nothing I've ever seen in my 58 years of watching football. What'd you look at me like that for?
Nothing. I was staring off into space.
Oh, you looked at me like 58 years, and I'm like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it bugs me because it's bad for the CFL. When you have a 9-team league, you can't have one team this pathetic. No, and they need to fix it.
It looks bad. Now, I mean, there's all sorts of loopholes the CFL can do, or CFL owners do, and to kind of circumvent certain things. But could you not, as the Elks, bring in a Wally Buono again? Bring in because as far as I'm aware, I thought he was back consulting this with the team.
I know you said that.
There have been no rumors of it. I haven't seen or heard anything about it this year.
No, I don't. I think that might have ended. And again, you bring anybody in, you have to pay them.
Yes, but if you bring in a special advisor, can you be a special advisor to the president and that circumnavigate the Elks cap? You know what I mean? You need to do something.
Then what would stop them from firing Jones and making him a special advisor to the water boy?
Well, because, I mean, his contract's already there.
But you know what I mean? Like, if you're bringing someone in to deal with football, it's to deal with football. I don't know. I haven't read
look at the COVID-shortened season and Michael Riley. Has everyone forgotten about this? He had a personal contract with the Lions organization at the time.
Yep.
The COVID-shortened season happened and he didn't get paid. And he took them to court. And in my opinion, this is 100% just my opinion, the first game back from the COVID-shortened season, he was not on the field. He was injured. And then at halftime, the Lions looked like shit, looked like garbage. And all of a sudden, he was good enough to play. He felt good enough and had his pads on. It was
a miracle.
And that lawsuit kind of just fizzled out into nothing.
Huh.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just throwing puzzles. You can put them together yourself for legal reasons. I don't want too many owners mad at me. But why couldn't they do that with again, I'm not saying bring in a coach. I'm saying bring in a special advisor to manage down, because clearly
they got to do something.
G-Roy and Jones don't know what they're doing without the guidance of Wally Buono.
Okay, so this is where I kind of get.
Don't attack Superman.
Don't attack my Superman. Also, and I don't know Chris Jones. I've never been a fan of Chris Jones because I don't know him. He's never been a coach for the BC Lions. But Jones has won every single place he's ever went to. He took the Riders in 3 years and turned them around and made them contenders back when he was coach for them. In college, he did the same thing. Chris Jones knows how to win. So to say Chris Jones doesn't know what they're doing, or G-Roy doesn't understand football, is just an idiotic statement that so many people are making. And it drives me nuts because shut up and start typing again. These guys know what it takes. And if they had the magic button, they would press it and make it happen. There is no magic button. There's something wrong with the core players on this team. You can blame the coaches. You can blame blah, blah, blah. Personally, I think what needs to happen is they need to overhaul, just fire the whole team. Bring in a new team because this team isn't working.
I'm looking back here. It looks like he's always had a touch since 2010, except for when he went down to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and in 2021. And in 2021, he's had a hand in the general manager position. However, the only 2 times he's had the general manager position, the year he got fired in Saskatchewan, he was officially the GM, and the 2 years he's had a losing record in Edmonton.
But he didn't have a losing record in Saskatchewan when he got fired.
No, he lost in the crossover game, I believe.
No, I think they finished second in the West, didn't they?
Yeah, sorry. They were defeated by the Blue Bombers in 2018.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can go back and forth. But in all honesty, you've got Giroy, who is a brilliant ball player. He knows the game. There's no 2 ways about it. What does it come down to? It comes down to the players executing, and they just aren't doing it. They just are not doing it. You can blame the coach. You can blame the sideline judges. You can blame the referees. The players are the ones who have to execute. End of the day, the coaches coach. The players play.
I can give you...
Wow, did you just roll your eyes at me, young fella?
I can give you 100 players that have God's given talent to play football. I can give you 100 players who work hard for a coach and play well for a coach and try hard at practice and understand the playbook and understand this. And I'm going to put my money on the team that has the good coach and the players willing to follow that coach.
Well, but that's what I'm getting at. Jones, I have to say, Jones is a good coach. It's just he's not making it work in Edmonton. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending Jones.
No,
I'm saying you could bring anybody in there, and I don't think it's going to make a difference. I honestly don't.
The problem is we'll never
make a difference. Just like the Flames taking Sutter and tossing Sutter, I don't think it's going to make one iota of a difference. The Flames are going to become and still stay mediocre, just like the Canucks, because the players they have aren't cup contenders.
Well, and I mean, we'll never know with the Elks because this team won't be around next year, and Chris Jones will be. Like, that's the unfortunate side because of the contract decisions that the team has made in the past, affecting now. It's going to be Chris Jones sticking around, the players not. Well, now talking on the Flame side of things, the Flames are also getting screwed because Calgary is a terrible place for NHL players.
So is Edmonton. So.
No, I disagree with that.
They don't have a quarterback.
I think Taylor Cornelius is a good quarterback, but not great.
No, he's not one of the elite quarterbacks in the league.
No, but you usually only have 1 or 2 of those at a time.
Yeah,
in the league. Yeah, and right now you've got Vernon Adams Jr., you've got Zach Collaros, you've got Trevor Harris. You've got Bo Levi if he decides to get his head out of his ass, which I saw earlier today. He's not practicing still. You've got a lot of big name quarterbacks.
Oh yeah,
but you don't have and to me, I don't know why they're not giving Trey Ford a shot.
Now that I would agree, and I think it might have something to do with he's injured. The only thing I could come up with.
Well, I think he was. I think that's the reason why he didn't start originally, but. If he's even 50% healthy, you have to give him a shot. If he's able to play, give him a shot. Because at this point, you're trying out for next season already. The season's that short, you're trying out for next season already.
For sure. I mean, can you come back from being 6-0? Yeah. Will they? No.
Well, 0-6.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. You knew what I meant.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. I knew what you meant. I mean, they lose this week, and they're off this week, aren't they?
Who?
Edmonton.
Are they? I don't think they are. No,
No, they're playing. Yeah, sorry, they're playing Winnipeg.
Yeah, they go Winnipeg, BC.
Winnipeg.
I believe the next week they play BC at Edmonton, and then they're off.
Well, don't they play Winnipeg
then the
this
BC,
week, then BC, then Winnipeg, and then they're off. Or they might
No, week 9 they're off. They
week
have
9 they're off. So then they go. Sorry, then they go Winnipeg, BC, bye week, Winnipeg.
Yes.
They're playing the two top teams in the West in the next 3 games over the next 4 weeks.
And the thing is, they're going to get an ugly, angry Winnipeg team after that loss this week. So good luck, Edmonton.
Yeah. We've spent enough time talking about Edmonton. Let's move on.
I was going to say we spent way more time than they deserve.
To be fair, it's the biggest story in the CFL right now.
No.
Next, we have the Toronto Argonauts going into Montreal and winning 35-27. You watched this game, correct?
I did. What a fun game to watch this was. I kept saying to Ellison, what an entertaining game. It was just a fun game. It had everything you could ask for, from smash mouth football, great defensive plays, long bombs. It had everything.
Now, and this might be infringing on your BC pride. Are the Argos CFL's best team?
Oh, without a doubt. Kelly shut everybody up. Chad Kelly, QB for the Argos. Literally, he went 21 for 25. I'm just pulling up his stats here. He went 21 for 25 for 351 yards in the air. He's the best QB in the league. Sorry, Bomber fans. But he's good. He's the reason Toronto won the Grey Cup last year, and he's the reason they are now 4-0.
And the reason why I think Toronto, the Argonaut organization, was okay with McLeod Bethel-Thompson going down to the USFL.
Hell yeah, they knew what they had.
And because I brought this up, because my mind went there, Edmonton fans, Saskatchewan fans, Ottawa fans, let's take a second here. Come in real close. Turn the volume up. Do you think a guy...
Listen, Linda, listen!
Do you think a guy who left Toronto because his family didn't want to be in Canada is going to go to Edmonton at the start of wintertime, or Saskatchewan at the start of wintertime, or Ottawa, where no one cares about Ottawa? Like, Ottawa's Ottawa. Who cares? Who cares about Ottawa? It's a city. Good for them. Whole bunch of politicians, but this guy is not going to come. Who was released, and if you look at the reason why, it was because he was due a bonus at the beginning of this next season that I don't think the team wanted to pay. Don't get me wrong. He's a great quarterback. He's not coming back to play in Edmonton.
And the more important part is we used to have a sign on the kitchen wall when you were a kid. What did it say? If
mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
And his wife does not want to live in Canada. It's simple. Yeah, they could play. He could come up and play, and she lived down there. It ain't happening, folks. He's made it clear. He came on podcast after podcast after podcast when he was released by the USFL team he played for. The reason he was released by the USFL team he was playing for is he couldn't even approach an NFL team if that contract was still in, and he wants to play for the NFL.
Is that okay? I didn't realize that.
Yes. And everybody read it as, oh, well, he's going to come back to the CFL.
It's like a guy didn't want to play in the CFL in Toronto, in the largest city, the city most comparable to a small market U.S. team.
The only city he would go to would be BC, Vancouver. And
no, he wouldn't even do that.
No, it's not happening.
He wants to be in the NFL. His family's more happy down in the States. Whether he's in the USFL, the XFL, or the NFL, that's where he's going to be playing. End of story. Get it out of your minds.
And I have it on good authority. he's going to get a tryout in the NFL.
I'm surprised I know he might already be. It's just not being talked about.
Well, he couldn't until the contract was.
But you've got, I mean, we're in the middle of July, and you've got September starts. The September starts the NFL season.
See, so, this is why I should stay out of the comments, Jake. I should just stay out of the comments. I shouldn't read the comments when we're doing this because my blood pressure gets up.
Let me just get through. Let me no. Let me get through my thought before you get on the diatribe here. If he's going to be trying out for an NFL team, it has to be this week, next week, because training camps are going to start, and he's going to have to be a
walk on.
Well, I was going to say he has to go through his tryouts. He then has to be the dummy quarterback during spring training, because he's going to be the guy who goes out there and is running reps for the second defense.
Don't get me wrong. He's not going to have a starting position in the NFL.
He's not going to get backup position. He's going to be happy with he'll be very happy with a practice squad roster.
$1 million. Give me the clipboard. Hand it over.
And to be third or fourth string. Shucks. And because he's not a young guy. I don't think he's that, I think he's my age.
Oh, I think he's older, isn't he?
I don't think so.
Look it up. And while
I'm looking up, he's okay. You are right. He's 35.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay. So can we go back to the Flames? I wasn't looking at the comments. I apologize. I wasn't looking at the comments.
I did see a comment posted. I moved on from it because we had moved on from the Flames conversation.
But Brandon deserves to be called out, doesn't he? They were in the Flames were in a playoff race when? Before Christmas? Give it a rest, freaking Flame fan. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so then we jump into Saturday. Back into the CFL. I'm just moving on from that.
Smoke is hurting me. Sorry.
The smoke's been cleared up. I don't know what you're talking about. Then we had the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to kick off our Saturday of games, which I can say I saw 0% of because I was at a wedding. And the old man was busy with other duties for his other job. So we both watched these games via highlights.
And what a crazy ass 2 games it was.
So I messaged you when I had a moment because I was scrolling through Facebook because for some reason, this isn't the time or place to get into it because we're already at 45 minutes in length of the show. But you have a wedding, you have the ceremony, and then all of a sudden you have to kill 2 hours before the dinner.
That's always the case.
Why?
Hey, careful. Your stepsister, the same thing's happening at her wedding.
Yeah, but I'll probably have to be in some sort of pictures because I'm family, so I don't have to kill that much time. No, thank God. I'll just start getting drunk then.
They said duty. Did you just say duty?
I don't know.
Brandon's
we had to just ignore him. Just ignore him. We're moving on. The Bombers went into Ottawa and lost by a score of 31-27. And
blocking chat.
This was the most shocking game of the week for me, because if you had put money on the Red Blacks to win with the point spread, I probably would have laughed at you, because I think going into the game it was a 4.5, 5.5 point spread.
Oh yeah. It was.
And I messaged you being like, the Bombers lost, and you thought it was the funniest thing in the world. It was great.
I had to actually look it up because I looked, and at halftime, they were leading. I forget what the exact score was. I'm looking at my notes here. Oh, this is the wrong game. That's why.
No, it's usually helpful if you look at the right game.
Yeah. Hold on.
Usually.
Well, it's the right notes. It's just I got to slide up a little bit. They took an 18-3 lead into the halftime,
and you lose. And I mean,
it did go to another 7 points in the third,
and then you laid the giantest of goose eggs in the fourth, Well, Ottawa scored 6 points between the first three quarters and 19 in the fourth. And again, I only watched the highlights and I tried to understand what happened in the game. And I might have missed something, but did Winnipeg think they just won and stopped playing in the fourth?
No, I think Crum came alive. Crum came into his own. You got to remember now, folks, this is their third string quarterback. Crum. First start.
And give him credit. 26 for 42 with one interception, and he was still slinging the ball with confidence.
Oh yeah. It was I enjoyed every second of it. Every single second of rewatching this. I didn't watch the whole game. I watched the highlights and then I read all the stuff about it. And Crum ran into the last two touchdowns. So he ran in the touchdown. Then they got they had to get a 2-point conversion with no time left on the clock, and they did.
Yeah.
And to put it into overtime. And then all the Bombers could do from the 35-yard line was kick a field goal. And then Crum takes the ball, short pass for a few yards, and then from the 29-yard line, Crum takes off running once again and sidesteps like 7, 12, 15 Bombers. However, I think they had too many men on the field. And he made them all look like children holding their little Smurf dolls. And they all fell down, and Crum went into the end zone for the win. And I'm kind of glad I didn't watch the game, Jake, because it might have been the one that did me in. It could have been the one that killed me.
When I'm looking
Because
up,
I would have been laughing so hard.
When I'm looking at Dustin Crum here, he's still a young kid. He's only 24.
Oh yeah.
And looking at his he is built. Looking at him, he's built more like a running back than he is a quarterback. And he ran a 40-yard dash in 4.75. He's
quick.
Like 6'1".
It's going to be fun to watch this kid over the next few weeks and months. He could be what Ottawa was looking for.
It'll be interesting to see because, I mean, the East is pretty wide open, except for their top spot.
Yeah, Toronto.
It's Toronto above everyone else, and then Winnipeg and...
Montreal.
No, Montreal. Thank you. Well, I don't know why I said Winnipeg. Jesus. Montreal and Ottawa, and even Hamilton could be fighting for that second and third place.
Yes.
Even though I think Calgary and Saskatchewan will be fighting for the crossover position as well.
It could be. It could be. I was at the beginning of the season, I would have bet that there wouldn't be a crossover, but it looks like there will be.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's full marks to Ottawa. Never give up. This is what the CFL is all about. In the NFL, you got 5 minutes left in the game, it's over because
you might as well just pack up the ball and go home.
In the CFL, yes, you can score that many touchdowns that quickly.
And speaking of anything that happens in the CFL, the Calgary Stampeders walked into Saskatchewan and with no time, I believe no time left on the clock or very little time left on the clock.
Oh, you just can't say it. You can't say it that way because going into the
come out with a score of 33-31. Go ahead.
Yes. And I mean, yeah, you could say, what's his name? Paredes kicked a field goal to win the game, but that doesn't even tell a millimeter of what really happened in this game. Like, it was insane. It was insane. The Stamps took a 20-10 lead into the halftime, right? Yeah. With 2 TDs, Paredes kicked 2 field goals. The Riders got their 10 points off a 66-yard punt return for Mario Elford in the first, and then a 36-yard field goal by Brett Lowther. So going in 20-10, it looked like the Stamps pretty much had this one in hand. 10, you're up by 10.5. It's not a huge lead.
Not a huge lead, but one you should be able to maintain.
But Mario Elford, who, remember I said he ran a punt return back for a touchdown? Well, he did it in the third as well for a 94-yard punt return to bring the Riders within 3. But then the Stamps came back and scored a touchdown to put them back up by 10. With a minute 36 seconds left. With the Mason. Harris goes down. I watched the replay. I obviously didn't see it live because I was doing other stuff, but I watched that replay and I grimaced.
Yeah.
As most people know, no, most people don't know, but I've got a screw holding my knee together. That was ugly. The way he got bent. It wasn't a dirty hit. It was just football. But he literally broke the bone that goes into your kneecap.
Tibular fracture.
Yeah. Tibular plateau fracture, which you have to make sure because plateau is that bone
Is the
right up
underpiece.
here,
Yeah.
right? They say he might be back before the end of the season, but
they tweeted out and posted that they're hopeful for his return this season. They're not ruling him out, but hey, I've seen crazier things. I mean,
it's
the thing I always talk about when it comes to injuries, and especially people being like, "Oh, that's injury's going to take him out forever." Peak athletes are freaks in the best way possible, and I always point to, because we are wrestling fans, it's always what's on my brain, when John Cena tore his pectoral off the bone and was told it was going to be 9 months before he came back. 3.5 months later, he is back wrestling in a ring.
Yes, exactly.
You never know how his body's going to heal, what sort of rehab he's able to do, and if that fracture is clean, it's actually going to be better for him than if it's a hairline fracture or something like that. So it's going to be very dependent. And I mean, the doctors in football are very good at stopping people from playing. If he's able to play, he'll be back. If not, if he wants to play and he can't, they'll hold him out.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be it's really the first time Harris has been this seriously injured in his 13-year career. I think it's 13 years I read. So I'm wishing him the best. One of the top tier quarterbacks in the league for many years. So hopefully he comes back, and he's not a young man. So as we get older, our bones take longer to heal, and everything around it is more the issue, because he also tore the ligaments. When he broke that, he tore all the ligaments.
Well, yeah, because from my understanding, and it's a very basic understanding, and if you're not watching on YouTube, I apologize. It's going to be very visual for the next 30 seconds. Is when it broke, because it was the underpiece here that broke, it went like this.
Yes.
So what happens is all your ligaments go.
So for those listening on the podcast, instead of breaking and coming down, it broke and went up into his more up and towards his thigh.
So what happens is your ligaments go from going one way to swapping direction, and ligaments are not good at that, especially in fast motion, and instead will break to save themselves.
So of course, this is football. It sucks. Harris went down. Mason fine. A fine QB in his own right. Got an opportunity, and I watched him. I wanted to say that because I watched him interviewed this afternoon, and they talked about how it felt coming in, and he goes, I felt my stomach was in knots because I hated the fact that Harris went down, and that's how I got in. But then in my next breath, I was excited about having the opportunity.
It's got to be so, and it's got to be so hard because there's a handful of quarterbacks, whether it's not even quarterbacks or goalies, positions where you need someone to get injured or to fall off to get that opportunity.
Exactly. So
I mean, Fine stepped in perfectly fine.
Well, and Mason came in. I mean, and the Riders scored a TD with 2:45 left in the game, and to bring it back to 3 points again. And I'm like, holy. There's 2 minutes and 45 seconds, 3-point game. You got to love the CFL. And this is where I think I got in the car just as this touchdown was being scored.
Okay.
And I was driving back from Okotoks, which is over an hour away or close to an hour. So the rest I listened to on the radio, and you know me. I was yelling at driving down Deerfoot at 120, and I'm yelling at my radio. It was fun. Stamps managed to get the ball back to the 34-yard line. And Paredes kicked another field goal to put them up by 6. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that pretty much puts the nail in the coffin. Nope. Fine completes a 10-yarder to Watson for a first down on their own 39. They took the ball at 29. They get a first down. 2 consecutive sacks.
They took the ball at the 35, sorry. Not the 39.
They took the ball at 29 originally and then got a first down, so they were on their own 39. It was a kickoff.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That was confusing.
Stamps
I was like, if
Sorry,
you take the ball,
Stamps
it's on the 25.
Yeah, no, Stamps kicked the ball.
Thank you.
The Stamps sacked Fine twice in a row, first and second down. Sacked them. 13-yard loss altogether. They're 3rd and 23.
And at this point, as Saskatchewan fans, they bleed for the team, but they've got to know it's like this. You know what? Valiant effort, kid.
Fine steps up. He steps back. He unleashes what I think is the most exciting play in football, the literal Hail Mary. I can't remember which Stamp it was, but instead of trying to knock the ball down, he tried to intercept it, and it bounced off his hands directly into the hands of Teven Jones at the 10-yard line, where he was able to quite easily walk into the end zone to score a touchdown. They kicked the point after and went up by 1. 36 seconds left. You could hear the announcers. I was listening to the Calgary announcers, obviously, and they were dejected, and they were like, 36 seconds left, and Mayer was able to drive the ball down to the 50-yard line of the Riders. No time left on the clock. Paredes steps up to the ball. Guys, if you love football, go and check the call out of Mark Stevens making this call, because it was one of the best calls I've ever heard. It reminded me of being a kid, because it was the ball's up, it's going. And yet, I swear to God, he said going like 8 times. And of course, he put it through for the win. The Stamps win by 2 points. Just a atypical CFL freaking game, finally.
Well, and the nice thing, and I love it, because I know, like, listening to Mark Stevens, he does get excited when big plays happen. Doesn't matter the team. He's going to be more excited for Stampeders, but he gets excited for big plays.
Mm-hmm.
Now, knowing the industry a tiny little bit, when he was saying going and going, that ball was probably already through.
Oh, no. Because the way he did it, you could hear the crowd slowly. The crowd got more excited, more excited, and then it came down as it went through.
Well, because there's always that slight delay on radio, right? Where it's like you can hear the smack of the pads, and like, and he hands off the ball, and he gets stopped right at the line. It's like,
yes,
I get it, because you want to see the play so you can call it. But
oh my goodness, it was fun.
Yeah, that's the joy of the CFL, folks.
And there's something about listening to football on the radio when you have someone who's good at calling the game.
I think that's your age that's showing.
It is. I used to sit because we didn't get all the games. If it wasn't a sellout, the game wasn't on TV back in the day. And so you listen to the radio. I can remember being a kid laying in front of the we had a giant cabinet, like as long as my desk in the office. And I'd lay in front of it listening to games on a regular basis.
Now, sorry, you said that, and the reason the CFL did that was to drive people to buy tickets to the game. In this next agreement with TV rights, wherever it goes, whatever happens, do you think that could be a thing again?
It could if they wanted it to, but there's too much money in TV, so no, it won't happen. There's just too much money in TV. The TV contracts more than make up for the attendance at the game. Everybody's like, oh, the CFL is a gate-driven
no, it's not.
Business. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it would be great if we could fill every stadium. But folks, there was a article that came out, and it compared ratings to the CFL to the NHL. And they figured it out with how many people the CFL on TSN have power to reach. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
How many houses have TSN available to them?
Yes. And they did the same thing with NHL in the States. Guess what? The CFL outdraws the NHL per capita if they work it out that way.
Yeah, I was going to say, thank you for saying per capita because I was going to cut in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So don't tell me the CFL's dead. Don't tell me we're dying. I've heard this since 1970 when I was 6 years old. Oh my God. Oh, then we got really good in the 90s and everything was great. Guess what? We're going through that again. Get over it. CFL isn't dying.
All right. Let's jump into the last part of the show.
Whew.
My funnest part of the show, the part that I have the most fun with. The power ranking reveal.
I did talk to you about it, but I don't know who's who.
Yeah, you definitely had some input this week because, again, like I said, it was a hard this week.
Oh, yeah.
So many games winning. However, the hardest part was not who was in ninth, because clearly we all know in ninth place we have the Edmonton Elks. There's not literally in this week's article that will probably come out either tomorrow or Wednesday with the full rankings. I don't know if I have to put anything. I literally will just put Edmonton Elks ... and you like there's nothing else left to say. Everyone said it. We've said it. We talked about it at length here.
At two lengths.
In eighth position, we have the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I still don't believe that without Bo Levi acting like Bo Levi could, that they're a good team. I had all the hopes for them in the world with Butler going over there with Bo Levi. I thought their receiving core should be good. And I just don't know where the disconnect is other than Bo Levi. Still not practicing this week, by the way. I noticed. I saw.
So comments. Even with a win, you're not going to move him up, eh?
I can't. Nope.
Okay. I might disagree with that one, but go ahead.
There's going to be a few people are going to disagree with these rankings as they always do. In seventh position, we have the Ottawa Redblacks.
Hold it! They just beat Winnipeg, didn't they?
They did.
What were you smoking when you did these?
Nothing. Who are you putting below Ottawa?
Riders.
How are you putting the Riders below them? They're 3-2.
Ottawa beat Winnipeg, one of the best teams in the league. They're in the top 3.
Any given Sunday.
Oh my God.
And Ottawa showed any given Sunday a team can win. This one I really had issues with, this coming up to 6, 5, 4, and 3. This is where I had my most issues with, because I guess 7 could be thrown in there because I wanted to put Ottawa higher, and I tried to convince myself to. Like I said many, many times, this is an exercise in taking yourself out of your fandom and out of your hatred and love for other teams. And I wanted to put the team in 6th place here in 7th, but I couldn't. Because the Saskatchewan Rough Riders dropped down 2 positions. They are the biggest dropper this year, week.
They drop her.
Biggest dropper. You heard it here first.
So that would put... What have you done here? What have you done, son?
In 5th position, we have a team that lost this week. The Montreal Alouettes. I believe that next to Winnipeg and BC, they put up the biggest test against the Argos. It's an 8-point game. It's a 1-score game. Don't get me wrong.
BC didn't put up a fight against Toronto.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's
Montreal,
Toronto's so far ahead of everyone else that a loss to Toronto shouldn't affect your power rankings all that much.
Oh yeah, okay. In
4th position, we have a team that won And in my opinion, I think their quarterback is finally figuring it out after years of being a backup. The Calgary Stampeders moving up 2 positions, the biggest mover in this week's power rankings. The old man does not agree by the growling, you can tell. What's your before we get to the top 3, what's your issues with it
the
right
top
now?
3 we know. Everybody knows the top 3.
It's what order you put the top 3 in.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean it's the order. If the order is not what I think it is, you and I are going to battle. I don't know if you had the Stamps at 6 and the Riders at 4 last week.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, if that's what you're looking at, they won, so they would drop down.
Plus Saskatchewan lost their starting quarterback.
Ottawa's win, I would have put them above Saskatchewan. Because that was a huge win.
And they need to capitalize on it.
That would be my biggest thing. I would go Calgary, Montreal, Ottawa, Saskatchewan.
So you're going to drop, and I get it. Saskatchewan did lose their starting quarterback, and that's why I felt very easily to drop them down. However, as we talked about, Fine stepped in, and I believe I was looking at the stats while we were talking about it, had more yards than Harris did in that game with only 8 throws. 6 completions, 8 throws, 100. I can't pull it up right now because I'm using my screen to do this.
You might be right. I'll leave this one alone for you.
And again, this here is all for argument. I can, from the Tiger Cats to the Stampeders, I could hear arguments everywhere and every which way. Yeah. Because this week screwed with the power rankings in the best way possible.
So this one,
the 3rd place, and I really wanted to drop them more, but I just couldn't. I really did, because I really wanted to have a power rankings where they were out of the top 3.
With Calgary winning and Ottawa winning, see, I would have put Ottawa in 5th and Calgary in 4th.
You still would have had this team, and I'm going to reveal them right now. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
They lost. They have to drop.
But you're going to put the Blue Bombers, a team that has had monuments of success. And Smurf Mafia, please take this, because I'm not going to give you a lot of your team a lot of compliments. They're a really good team.
They are.
They're not a great team anymore, but they're a really good team.
Okay. See, that's the thing. If you drop them, do you have to drop them all the way down? How far down do they drop?
You drop
and
them
how
down
can you
position.
put Calgary below them when they're? Obviously Winnipeg's a way better team than Calgary. Oh, okay. I talked myself into agreeing with you.
You know how literally I have a notebook for my work stuff. And today I knew I had to do the power rankings. So I do what I always do. And I write down the order they were in last week. And then at lunchtime, I pulled up the stats and I stared at it. And I looked back at my piece of paper and I stared at it and I said, what am I going to do here? Because other than 1, 2, and 8, 1, 2, and 9, there's too much fluidity. And with
then
that,
those 2 we know.
We have the Toronto Argonauts still on top because, in my opinion, they are leaps and bounds better than every other team in the CFL so far. And then the BC Lions.
When does BC play them again? Do you know?
Do we? I feel like we've had this conversation before.
We don't.
We've had this conversation before, and
we don't play them again. Toronto, Montreal, Abai, Ottawa, Edmonton, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, Hamilton. We don't play Toronto again. Come on.
I told you this. We talked about it.
Seriously, we only play Toronto once? I kind of like that.
It worked.
We'll meet him in the Grey Cup.
Selfish purposes? Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
But how in a league of 9 teams, 9, do you not play? And how many weeks? There's how many weeks in a season? 14?
18.
18 weeks.
Well, they play 18. No, 20. There's more. There's 22 weeks or 23 weeks, but you play 18 games.
Yeah, so you have 18 games, and you can't play every team at home.
It's just
literally it almost works out because you play a home and home against every team, And I believe you're at, let me 16 games, which gives you 2 games to play against.
Try that again. Try it again. There's 9 teams in the league.
Are you playing yourself at any point?
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
So 2 times 8, 16 gives you 2 games to play against divisional rivals. So there's every other year, you like in the West, every other year you'd play Calgary and Edmonton 3 times and every other team twice.
Yes.
How is that hard?
It's not hard.
I did it in 30 seconds.
Not hard.
Now,
you know why they don't do it, right?
Because of ratings and they want more interdivisional play. And
nope, has nothing to do with it.
What is the excuse then?
The excuse, and it's been said many times, is the cost of travel for the team.
If that, I'm sorry, and this is going to come across as me bashing the CFL again, and it's perfectly fine. If that's your concern, don't own a team.
We got bigger problems.
If you're concerned about flying a team from BC to what's the farthest team away? Hamilton?
Yeah.
If you're concerned about that, maybe Toronto, you shouldn't own a team.
Ottawa, Montreal. They're all further than Toronto.
Yeah. I said Hamilton.
Hamilton's closer.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't know. The East is all confusing to me. East, I'm just as bad. Get me out of like Saskatchewan, and I'm like, I know the general area Winnipeg's in, and then it's all gibberish in Toronto.
You're cute. So, next week.
Next week we start Thursday, July.
Go ahead.
What? Thursday, July 20th. Edmonton is going into Winnipeg, and boy, do I feel bad for the Elks.
They will be 0-7. Come on. Is there even? And I mean, if
yes,
by God chance that they lose, I will take the loss again because I took a loss. I took the Smurf Mafia's team.
This week's pick'em. I went 1. I got 1 game right. That's it.
One game right.
Yeah, Winnipeg. I mean, no matter what the spread is, you're going to be looking at Winnipeg.
Yes.
It has to be the win there. Friday, July 21st, Toronto at Hamilton. Bo Levi not practicing as of today.
No.
So it's going to be the same guy who's been playing backup. I don't remember his name because I don't care enough.
Toronto's going to win this one.
I think this is good. These 2 games are going to be the worst games of the week. Because then we get into Saturday, which is going to be a very fun game. Saskatchewan at BC. And I honestly do. I think this is going to be a very fun game with Saskatchewan coming off of that narrow defeat. I think they're going to look to put it to BC coming off the bye.
Breaking news. Right here on Hughes Sports Podcast.
You know what show you're on.
Did you hear this yet? Due to demand, the Lions are opening up the upper deck for Sunday's game versus the Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
Wow.
Isn't that huge? That's huge, guys.
That's big.
Good for you guys, BC. They got it going on. Like, they freaking know what they're doing.
How I'm like, this is baffling to me.
That's right from the BC Lions. 1 hour ago. 400 level now open. Watermelon smash is what they're calling it.
Yeah, because they're actually doing a watermelon smash at halftime.
BC Lions announce Upper Bowl seating is open on Saturday. Tickets start at $25 for adults and $10 for youth under 17.
That's wild. So they still have tickets available in the lower sections as well.
Oh yeah, but not many. It can't be many if they're opening the upper level.
It's still quite a few. Looking at it, you're probably looking about 100, about 300.
Yeah, so not a lot, really.
And then you've got the middle sections halfway up opened on the 400 level.
Nice.
So that's huge. I'm taking BC to win this game. I think the rest is going to do them well. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than it might feel. And I don't know what the spread is for.
I haven't looked. But if you look at their win-loss, I mean, Saskatchewan wins this. They're tied with BC at 4-2.
Yeah, exactly.
And Winnipeg at 4-2. Did I mention Winnipeg lost last week? Yeah, I think we did.
Wait. Sorry, can you say that again?
Winnipeg lost.
Who did they lose to?
Ottawa. Third string quarterback in Ottawa beat them. Yeah, it was quite fun.
That's like, it's just wild to think.
Yes.
So wow. I'm sorry. I'm taking Saskatchewan on the betting line.
Why? What is it?
8.5 points. 8.5 points.
Holy.
He was so shocked he had to take a second to figure his life out. You're giving me 8.5 points in a game that I think is going to be closer than many expect. I might place a bet here against the Lions, because 8.5 points is a ridiculous spread for the CFL.
If I find out you bet against the Lions and we lose,
it's 8.5 points. We can win by a field goal and I still get money.
Just saying.
We could win by a touchdown. We could win by a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, and I still would make money. That's how absurd that is.
That is absurd. And the final game,
Calgary Stampeders taking on the Ottawa Red Blacks, which
is literally a coin toss.
I don't agree with. Whoever makes these point spreads is wild to me, because they have Ottawa at a 5.5 points.
What?
Or sorry, Stampeders have 5.5 points. So Stampeders are minus 5.5.
Really?
They're giving Ottawa 5.5 points after just knocking off Winnipeg.
Oh, who are you taking in this one?
I want it to be true, and I do. I want to be able to move the Blue Bombers down in the standings.
So you want to take Calgary?
No, to be able to do that, I want to take Ottawa. In the power, This is for the power rankings.
Right.
Because if Ottawa continues this momentum, I can honestly I can move Ottawa way up the rankings and move them down.
Especially if they lose.
Now if Calgary wins, and somehow, and in God's green earth, if this is the game, please, Edmonton, let it be the game. Even though you're a 14.5 point underdog. 14.5 points.
I might throw $5 on the Elks just for the fun of it.
And you get 2 to 1 odds at 14.
Do I get a hot dog and a beer to go with that?
Basically, I mean, for the $5, you could probably get season tickets if you keep choosing the right sections for them to do the giveaways for. I'm taking the Red Blacks to win this. I'm
going to take Calgary.
Homer. What, you're going to go watch the game, so you have to cheer for the home team?
No, we're not watching this one.
Oh, did I put it backwards? Yeah, I was going to say, I think you are.
We are. Yeah, we are. We're watching this one. Heck yeah, we're watching this one.
Well, it sucks to be you.
On the 55-yard line.
Well, that, folks, concludes just over. I mean, we've been pretty consistent since the CFL season has started. Between an hour and 15 and an hour 30. So
if we would leave off that boring NHL talk at the beginning, we'd just be an hour.
Well, no, the people need to know. The people need to know. The people want to know. And if you look at the stats, people click these buttons more often than about the CFL news. So I'm just going to leave that there. I got very macho. I got Macho Man-y in that.
I heard that. I definitely heard a Macho Man.
Everyone, please do check out HughesSports.ca, where I'm talking about. There's articles, there's post-game write-ups, there's pre-week look-aheads, there's the power rankings, there's the weekly wrap-ups, and the sprinkle in of Canucks news. Usually once a week, I try to throw out an article.
And are we allowed to talk about what's coming up in the near future here with college football, or are we keeping that quiet?
I think we're going to keep that quiet for right now until we hammer out all the details. But we are going to be looking to get more into some college football because, in my opinion, it is way more exciting than the NFL.
The NIFL? We'll follow the NIFL.
I'll always passively follow the NFL, just like I passively follow the MLB. Can I talk intelligent about it? No, so I don't.
Yeah. We want to talk about the MLB. We bring Brandon on. He's a big MLB fan, isn't he?
I think so.
Or is he just like...
I think he's a casual fan, but he knows more than me, but that's not saying much because I watch during the playoffs. Like, as we get into October, I'll pay attention.
I think he ran away. I think I scared him away.
Yeah, he
had to leave early because he had to beat the traffic, he said.
You know what? That's fair. It makes sense. I'm just checking this while on the air. I don't know how this works. I don't think the Blue Jays are in a playoff position, so I might not even care in October.
Oh, well, then who cares?
But everyone, that has been the Hughes Sports Podcast for the week of July 17th. Please do check us out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at JStreams here. The old man has a handful of different places you can find him, including Cavelli Channeling, where he puts on his different hat. You can catch him on the Rod Peterson Show occasionally when they need some host to fill in. You can catch Rod Peterson Show, friend of the show, and I think it's the first time the old man hasn't brought up Rod Peterson in an entire show. You can catch him Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Did you hear that?
No, 10 a.m. Mountain time to noon Mountain time. We will see you guys here next week to cover another fun week of football. Have a good week.